So the other day we discussed how Donald Trump took a trip to East Palestine, Ohio, after the train derailment and chemical fire, and he gave them a bunch of bottles of water. He bought some of the first responders McDonald's, and politically it was a smart move. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. This is something that's going to make those people think, oh yeah, Trump's looking out for me, Trump's on my side. Now, of course, that's fundamentally not true, because Donald Trump is responsible for much of the deregulation that then led to the crash. So under the Obama administration, they put into place rules on electronic brakes for trains. To that point, they had only used Civil War era style brakes. And Obama said, no, we need to update that. These are not nearly as safe as the new electronic brakes, so let's go to the electronic brakes and put that in place. Now, Obama also deregulated the level of regulation on the chemicals, where the chemicals that were in this particular train were not counted as the highest classification of toxic, even though it probably should have been. So there's some blame to go there as well. But for Trump, there's a lot more blame, honestly, because he rolled back the regulation on electronic brakes and said, you keep using your Civil War era brakes, it's totally fine, right? And this guy was a deregulation king. He bragged about doing the deregulation. And then, of course, Mayor Pete and Biden get in there, and they don't do anything to reverse it, and here we have this disaster. So Trump has zero shame. He shows up there and acts like he's a champion of the people. This is an area where, Trump won this area by quite a bit. Ohio has kind of shifted hard right since the Obama era. I believe they voted for Obama twice, but then since then, it's gone to Trump, and pretty comfortably in the last two elections. So Trump shows up there, does this whole political show. It's certainly going to make his numbers go up. And this was really an own goal by the Democrats. So Pete Buttigieg went to this place in Ohio, but he did it after Trump already went. Okay, so, you had a layup and you missed it. So now the media is going to Biden, and they're asking the most reasonable question in the world. Hey, are you going to go to East Palestine? Here's his answer. It's kind of hard to hear because you have the helicopter in the background, so forgive me if the audio quality is not great here, but this is the only video of it that I could find. See if you could hear what Biden says here, and we'll react to it.
Palestine, Ohio. Are you planning to travel to East Palestine,
This time I'm not. I did a whole video. What the hell? Zoom. All I can, every time I think of Zoom, that's song in my generation. Who's Zoom and who? Let me answer the question. The answer is that I had a long meeting with my team and what they're doing. We were there 2 hours after the train was down. 2 hours. I've spoken with every single major figure in both Pennsylvania and in Ohio. And so the idea that we're not engaged is just simply not there. And initially there was not a request for me to go out, even before I was heading over to speak. So keeping very close tabs on it. California, sir.
So his answer was, I'm not going to East Palestine because I did a Zoom call. By the way, he couldn't come up with the word Zoom. And so he's like, what's the thing that I did? And then the reporter had to say Zoom. And then Biden brings up, Zoom. All I can hear every time I think of Zoom is the song of my generation. Who's zooming who? Ugh. And then he said, look, we were on the ground 2 hours after the accident. I think he's talking about the EPA. So, again, just an own goal, man. Just an own goal. He knows, he has to know the politics, the optics of this. Even if he thinks we've been on top of it since, the second the derailment happened, the optics is that you're not at all on top of it, and you downplayed it, and you swept it under the rug, and then you leave a massive political opening for Trump to get in there. And look, I'll say it, with the way Trump has been positioning himself recently, you are seeing shades of the 2016 Trump that won. Like, for example, standing up to other Republicans and saying, like, we're not going to cut Social Security by a penny. No Republican should be in favor of any Social Security and Medicare cuts. Now, to be fair to Biden, that is something him and Trump agree on. And Biden has said repeatedly, I'll veto it. If you send anything to my desk that cuts a penny from Social Security or Medicare, I'll veto it. So credit to both Biden and Trump on that one. But Trump is surprising me the most because he had shown for a while he lost his normie touch. He lost his ability to be a good politician because he couldn't shut up about the 2020 election. It's rigged, it's stolen. He was saying stuff like terminate the Constitution over on Truth Social. Then he sort of got his act together. He does this trip to East Palestine, and I'm telling you his numbers are going to go up, and Biden's are going to go down even more because this looks like weak leadership. It looks like you don't care about East Palestine. Massive, massive own goal. Pathetic, honestly. Pathetic. And Biden has optically done a better job in the past with other things, but this is like a huge L, man. And then, you know, the argument that's come from Republicans, which is cynical when they use it, of course, is like, oh, you're over there in Ukraine and you're not going to East Palestine, Ohio. So why do you care more about Ukraine, giving them hundreds of millions of dollars more in aid and weapons when, you know, East Palestine, Ohio needs our support here? Again, it's cynical that they're using that argument. And they don't really mean that because they were all in favor of the deregulation that led to this in the first place. But optically, it's a good point. It is a good point. So, look, all I'll say, we'll end this video on a happy note. He's leaving a lane wide open for somebody to challenge him in the Democratic primary. It's going to be an uphill climb. It's going to be a fight. The media is going to line up against the challenger, in this case, Marianne Williamson, but it's time for the fight because we can't sit back and watch stuff like this continue, man. This is ugly as it gets. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.